Tonight is a huge night for Yaman fans, because Sanremo 2026 is not just another TV appearance or a standard red carpet moment. This is one of the biggest live television stages in Italy, and Yaman is right at the center of it. In this video, we're breaking down what John said at the press conference, the useful details coming from fan stories and translated clips, and why this moment matters for John's image, his position at Sanremo, and the future of Sandokan. If you want clean, clear updates with no unnecessary drama, make sure to subscribe. With Sanremo nights, the real story is not always only what happens on stage. The pre-show atmosphere, the press room tone, small radio moments, styling details, and short but memorable answers can all shape how the night is remembered. And on Yaman's side, that is exactly the kind of picture we are seeing. Because this is not simply a John went to Sanremo story. The overall framing coming from Italian media coverage and fan account shares suggests something bigger. John is not being watched only as a TV star from a series. He is being watched as a live television presence, someone being evaluated for his composure, communication style, timing, and behavior under pressure on a major mainstream stage. So this is not just a visibility moment. It is also a positioning moment. That is why the Vanity Fair Italia-style framing became such a big talking point in fan spaces. The message behind those headlines is that John is not only Sandokan, and that the first night of Sanremo can prove it. That is a very important point. Right now, John's name is strongly linked to Sandokan, and that is obviously a major advantage. But it can also create a narrow public image if people only see him through one project. A stage like Sanremo gives him a chance to expand that image and show a wider version of himself. One of the first major topics from the press conference was the recent noise connected to reports from Turkey. John addressed it in a calm, controlled, and direct way. The core of his message was simple. He treated it as a routine situation, made it clear it was not something to dramatize, and moved forward. What stood out was not only what he said but how he said it. That matters because before a huge event like Sanremo, side stories can easily distract from the main night. John's approach looked very deliberate. No overreaction, no emotional escalation, no long defensive explanation. Just a clear answer and a return to focus. From a communication point of view, that is often the smartest move before a high-profile live broadcast. The strongest message is usually, "That's done, I'm focused on my work." And John's tone felt very close to that. But the most interesting part of the press conference and the fan-shared translations was not only the serious side. It was the human side. One of the recurring impressions from fan story translations is that John looked emotional and excited, but was trying to appear relaxed. That detail is extremely valuable. Audiences are used to seeing public figures in polished, controlled appearances. But when someone is about to step onto one of the biggest live TV stages in the country, a little visible tension can actually make them feel more real and more likable. There were even fan summaries highlighting that John joked about being worried he might start sweating before going live. And honestly, that is the kind of small detail that says a lot. It does not make him look weak. It makes him look aware of the scale of the moment. Sanremo is not a standard interview set. It is live, high-pressure, fast-paced, and watched closely by a massive audience. Feeling that pressure is natural. In fact, it can be a sign that the person truly understands the importance of the stage. Another very interesting point from the fan-shared translations was John's apparent approach to preparation. The idea that he tried not to overthink the experience too much because overthinking would make him too excited is actually a smart way to manage a huge night. It sounds like he is trying to control adrenaline by not mentally inflating the moment too much beforehand. That is a strong performance mindset. Too much mental buildup can create tension. Controlled focus helps stabilize performance. There was also a line fans highlighted about John saying he has vulnerabilities, but does not always show them. That kind of statement can have a bigger impact than people expect, especially in a country like Italy, where TV personalities are not judged only by what they do, but by how they come across emotionally. A comment like that adds depth to his public image. It shifts the narrative away from just looks, just popularity, or just project headlines, and into something more personal and layered. Then there is the music side, which is especially important because this is Sanremo. John mentioning Claudio Baglioni and saying he likes songs that make you suffer, emotional songs, is a very Sanremo-type answer in the best way. It shows emotional taste, and it fits the spirit of the festival. Sanremo is not only about performance or catchy hooks. It is also about memory, emotion, drama, nostalgia, and big stage feeling. So when John gives an answer like that, it helps place him inside the cultural tone of the event instead of outside it. That is an important difference. It makes him sound less like a guest who is just passing through and more like someone who understands what kind of emotional space Sanremo occupies in Italian entertainment culture. The positive comments around Laura Pausini also help in that same direction. Sharing a stage with Carlo Conti and Laura Pausini is already a major moment on its own, but openly showing respect for those names makes the dynamic feel more natural. In fan-circulated summaries, there is also emphasis on him knowing Laura's songs. If audiences pick up that kind of detail, it builds a sense of sincerity and connection, and that can really help on a live TV night where chemistry matters. Now let's move to the biggest long-term topic, Sandokan. One of the most important updates from the press conference was the news that Sandokan's second season planning has been delayed. And yes, whenever fans hear the word delay, mixed feelings are normal. People are excited, expectations are high, and nobody loves waiting. But the tone of the explanation is what changes the story. What came across here was not a crisis tone, but a quality-focused tone. The message seems to be that, after the strong response and attention around the project, there is a desire to improve the next phase, invest more time, and raise the level. That shifts the framing from problem to ambition. In large productions with high expectations, rushing can damage momentum more than waiting. Taking more time to build something stronger can be a much better long-term move, especially for a project with iconic weight like Sandokan. That brings us to one of the most symbolic moments connected to this Sanremo appearance. The John Yaman and Kabir Bedi meeting. This is not just a nostalgic detail. It is powerful television symbolism. Connects generations. It connects classic TV memory with a modern interpretation. It brings together the historic Sandokan and the new Sandokan in a single frame. That is exactly the kind of image that producers and media teams know can travel far. Carlo Conti announcing that kind of moment before the show is not random. It is a strong narrative move. If the stage moment lands emotionally, it can easily become one of the most replayed and most talked about clips of the night. And it works on multiple levels at once. It speaks to longtime viewers who remember the older era, and it also speaks to newer fans who follow John's current journey. That overlap is rare, and when it happens, it creates a very strong media moment. Now, one of the most useful things from the fan stories is that they add texture beyond the main press conference. This is where the coverage becomes more alive. The Radio Rai 2 related story summaries, for example, include details that may sound small but are actually very useful for understanding the pre-show mood. John reportedly mentioning he might wear a tie with one outfit and a bow tie with another, singing Happy Birthday in Turkish to Fiorello, and even doing a bit of a presentation dry run. These are exactly the kinds of details that make the build-up feel real. Why does that matter? Because on a Sanremo night, the story is not built only on the final broadcast segment. It is built on the road to that segment. Radio calls, mini-jokes, style hints, little rehearsal energy, playful comments. All of these moments contribute to the public impression of whether someone feels engaged, comfortable, and truly part of the event atmosphere. And in John's case, these details suggest that he is not just standing back and waiting for one scripted appearance. He seems active in the flow, participating in the wider Sanremo ecosystem before the main stage moment even begins. The styling detail is also more important than it sounds. Tie versus bow tie may look like a tiny topic, but Sanremo is highly visual. Every look becomes part of the conversation. Fan accounts post comparisons, media outlets build image galleries, and the next day coverage often includes style discussions. So even a quick mention of outfit options can become useful content and build anticipation. When you put all these pieces together, a very clear pattern starts to appear. John is not coming across as a passive guest waiting for airtime. He is showing a combination that is very valuable before a major live TV moment. Controlled in the press room, human and relatable in personal answers, emotionally tuned in when talking about music, strategic when discussing Sandokan, and playful in lighter radio and fan-circulated moments. That combination matters a lot. Because after a night like this, people do not always remember every exact sentence. Very often what stays with them is the energy, the impression, the feeling of how someone carried themselves. And the energy forming around John right now is this. Someone who feels the pressure, respects the stage, tries to manage nerves without dramatizing them, gives personal details without oversharing, and understands that this is a serious mainstream television moment. That is a strong signal for image building. As the night continues, of course, people will talk about his stage presence, delivery, timing, chemistry, and how everything translates on screen in real time. But even before the main stage moments fully unfold, the combination of the press conference and fan stories has already built a compelling narrative. John Yaman is not just arriving at Sanremo 2026 as a headline. He is arriving at a moment that can shape how he is perceived as a broader television figure, beyond one project, beyond one role, and beyond one fan label. And that is exactly what makes this night so interesting. Because this is not only about being seen. It is about defining how he is seen. The weight of Sandokan, the media attention, the personal questions, the side noise from recent reports, and the pressure of a major live broadcast all exist in the same frame. When that many elements collide, even staying calm can be a sign of strength. And so far, the signals suggest John understands the assignment. So the key takeaway before the night fully unfolds is simple. The build-up is already working in his favor. The clarity in the press conference, the emotional but controlled tone, the music references that fit the Sanremo spirit, the long-term meaning of the Sandokan update, the symbolic power of the Kabir Bedi moment, and the extra texture from fan-shared radio and backstage-style stories all combine into a very strong Sanremo narrative. This is a critical moment for John, not only because he is visible, but because this is the kind of stage where image, credibility, and public perception can shift in real time. As the show continues, watch the small moments as closely as the big ones. Sometimes the real story is not in the giant announcement, but in the quick glance, the voice tone, the small joke, the natural reaction, or the way someone handles a few seconds of pressure. For John Yaman, Sanremo 2026 has already delivered a strong start. Now the question is how that strong start gets completed on stage. If you're following John tonight, it's going to be an exciting watch. Subscribe for more clean updates on John Yaman, Sanremo, and Sandokan.